Day 7 in the books.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I kind of lost count of how many days it's been.
Can't lose count.
I don't know what day of the week it is.
The day of the week is tough.
I just know I wake up, I drive down to practice, and it's hot.
You haven't driven down on a day there isn't practice yet. That's good. At least you've told me.
At least I haven't told you.
Yeah. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. We want to remind everyone, open practice on Sunday at the Link. 5:30, we'll be at the Pepsi Plaza. Come and hang out with us and Barrett Brooks, and we'll talk some football out there. We want to talk some football today. Plenty of observations to get to from day 7 of training camp. We talked to some players afterward. We'll kind of break down some of that. But first, Rube, this is exciting.
What do you
I got you a present.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's right there, right next to you. It's a lemon perfect. This is what Jalen Hurts was talking about. He gave up lemonade this summer, and he switched to this stuff. I've never even heard of it, but I was in the grocery store and happened to see it. So
I just get this at Arby's.
I figured we'd give it a go here. I want to try
taste
it right
test.
now. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
I'm always looking like I like flavored waters, so this is kind of up my alley.
I'm not a big lemonade guy, but Chick-fil-A's got pretty good lemonade.
Yeah, that's nice. It tastes like a lemonade without sugar. So a little bit more than like lemon water.
I like it.
I do too. It is refreshing. All right.
Feel better or what? I might make it through the pod now.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Anyway, let's get to football. Housekeeping items. We'll start there, I guess.
As we do. As is our want.
Yeah, we mentioned the other day Boston Scott taking quite a hit from Marcus Epps near the goal line. He showed up on the injury report today with a concussion. Not good for him, but not all that surprising given that hit. And he was on the ground for a little while when it happened. So you hope, he can get back in a certain period of time that's not too long. But they're kind of short on running backs. I mean, they had 5, and now they're down to 4.
Yeah, and they do have a roster spot.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think they'd add a running back in the next day or two. It was unfortunate, unintentional.
Mm-hmm.
It was down at the goal line, and Epps, as soon as Epps hit him, he went over and apologized and checked on him. And, it was just one of those things when you're practicing, going at full speed. It was at the end of practice. It was late in practice. It was hot, and just goal line. There's a lot of bodies in a condensed area, and it just happened, and we all cringed at the moment it happened. I was surprised he got up. He didn't go right in. He did go over with a trainer. He didn't practice the rest of the day. It was pretty close to the end of practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully he's okay. They are lean on running backs, and we saw more of Jason Huntley. We'll get to that. Who's got some talent. He's got some ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a fun player.
Yeah. So
that was the only new injury though, so that's a good thing, I think. Devontae Smith still out of practice with that groin. They're going to be really cautious with him.
Don't blame him.
Any of those soft tissues. Same with Grant Calcaterra, who's now missed 4 practices.
Yeah, I think he got hurt on last Monday.
Yeah, it's almost a week.
Yeah, so that's not good for him. He's a rookie. He did look good early on, but that's he's got to get back out.
And Greg Ward now missing a couple practices with a toe. He's a player who's been here for a while, but he's fighting for a roster spot. So that's not great for him.
Yeah, toes. We don't. I mean, Nick doesn't. We didn't talk to Nick today, but he'll never tell you the severity of any injury unless it's season ending.
Not in training camp.
So we don't know if it's just a day or two, or if Greg Ward's looking at a month. We just have no idea. So
Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard with their concussions, they've now missed 2 days. Good sign though, both of them were out at practice today, not participating, of course, but just the fact that they're out there tells you that they're moving along.
Dillard had the shades on. You can concussion. You can be so sensitive to the light.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, good to see him out there. Hopefully.
And they were even. I was watching. I mentioned it later, but during one-on-one drills, they were even like coaching up some of their younger teammates. So they're feeling all right. I mean, at least feeling better, obviously, than they were.
Yep.
A couple guys left practice early. Kerry Vincent Jr. and Jimmy Moreland.
Moreland did not look good.
No, I didn't see him.
Kerry Vincent looked okay. He was walking fine. So, I mean, we don't know what these injuries are. We'll find out tomorrow before practice. We'll get an injury report. But Jimmy Moreland did not look good. He was having trouble walking. He came out of the trainer's tent with have his left shoe on. He was barefoot. His left foot was barefoot. And so I would guess they were obviously examining his left foot ankle. So that's what it was. But he was having a hard time walking. So wish him the best. And, he's a fringe guy. He's certainly a guy that, he's got some experience and more than most of those guys, those backup.
Yeah, more than all of them after the starting three.
Right. So I think he was a guy that if you put him on your 53, you could justify that, certainly. Kerry Vincent did not look that serious, but we just don't know. As soon as we have anything more on all these guys, we'll pass it along.
They do have a lot of corners in camp, obviously. So that's one position where, not that you want anyone to get hurt, but they can have a few injuries in camp and still go through with their practices the way they've been doing.
And people make the team like that,
It's going to be extra reps because they've been rotating in those second and third teams so much. And there's only, there's 12 corners in camp. There's maximum 9 guys if you're running, 3 with each team. So they've had to rotate that back end. So someone's going to get some extra opportunity because of this.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Jalen Hurts. And we're going to talk about him every day. And it's become this weird thing in camp where it's like, was he good or was he bad? And it's just, there are layers to it. I thought, like, if you had to say today, I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was great. I didn't think he was bad. I thought he had an okay day. I thought he made some really good throws. I thought there were moments where he probably held on to the ball too long, where he missed something. It's not like, it feels like every day people are like, was he good or bad? And that's not the way it works.
Yeah, you can't take a rep here, a rep there, and come up with some grand conclusion. It's practice, it's work. They're getting better. I mean, he's had a lot of really good days, really good throws. Mm-hmm. He's a young quarterback who's getting better, and I don't know how much better he's going to get. We'll find out. But I mean, I've seen people say that he's had this terrible training camp. He hasn't. He hasn't had, and I think I can't say this enough. He's getting challenged so much more than he did last year. And this group of linebackers and defensive backs is so much more active and just all over the place, knocking down balls that never would have been knocked down last year. And it's great work, and he embraces it. He likes it. He wants it. And it's good work for him. And, just because a pass gets knocked down doesn't mean he can't play. People just overreact to a rep. That's why I don't live tweet, because people just take one rep and then turn it into something. Oh, it was an interception. He can't play. You got to get a quarterback. I got to draft somebody. It's training camp. He's getting better. And I think overall his training camp's been, if I had to grade it, it's been a B to B minus.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
I'd be around there.
Yeah.
I think a B minus, C plus range.
Yeah. So, and
there's still a lot of time to go here. I mean, it's a cliche, but defenses are often in front of the offenses. And I think that's been the case with this camp.
And if you're an Eagles fan, be happy that they've upgraded the defense so much.
Yeah. And look, I get it, because he's the biggest question mark of this team. And you're trying to figure out, is this roster good enough to be a legitimate playoff contender? Can they win the division? And a lot of it does hinge on Jalen Hurts. But there's nothing I've seen in training camp to make me think he's ready for a breakout year. And there's nothing I've seen that makes me think he's going to be awful.
That's fair. Yeah. I also think it doesn't help that your 2 left tackles are hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
That's not helping.
Yeah. And he's missing Devontae Smith now.
Yeah.
Which, they're a little better suited for that than they would have been last year, but there's still a drop off.
Yeah, and again, they're out there working on things, and they're not game planning. There's they're working on specific things, and some of those things are things that he needs to get better on. And I think for the most part, I think he's gotten rid of the ball. I think you could tell they're really focusing on him getting rid of the ball.
Yeah, I still think there are moments where he holds it too long.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But I think in general, you can tell they're working on that, and he's focused on that, and he's trying to get better.
And with him, it is so tricky, because sometimes he'll make the wrong decision and it ends up being good because he has that athletic ability. Right. So there are moments where you're like, in practice, you're like, get it out, get it out, get it out. But in a game, he could turn that into a 10-yard gain.
Right.
So it is tricky to figure out sometimes.
It's true.
All right. Let's talk about some of the plays from Saturday. So if you look back at his year last year, there were a lot of games where, NFL Next Gen Stats has that like spray chart, and there was a noticeable hole in the middle of the field in a lot of those games. I saw him work the middle of the field a little bit today, and that's encouraging. He threw a seam pass to Dallas Goedert. That was probably like a 15, 20-yard pass with room for Yak.
Yeah.
And then there was another one where A.J. Brown kind of settled into a zone in the middle of the field, and he hit him with a strike. Those are good plays because I think one of the big things for him is expanding the field and kind of throwing not just to the right side. Honestly, it's a lot of his plays went to the right, and I think that's natural for a righty and natural for a guy who has that athletic ability. He's going to roll out, but you just can't cut the field in half like that.
Yeah, you're just a lot easier to defend if you're not using the whole field, and that's been a point of emphasis. And I mean, they have good slot receivers, and they have one of the best tight ends in the game. So the middle of the field is, I think, an area they can really mine.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see A.J. Brown in the slot a decent amount.
It looks that way.
Yeah. They're going to mix it in and out. I mean, I think primarily he'll be on the outside, and they'll kind of stick to Devontae and A.J. Brown on the outside, and then Quez in the slot. But there are reasons you want A.J. Brown in the slot sometimes, and there are reasons you want Quez outside. So I think they're going to mix and match a little bit.
I mean, I think A.J.'s such a weapon in the slot.
And he's a mismatch nightmare.
He is. And they really are working that, I mean, they're working that part of the field. They've been doing it with A.J. all summer. So, it's a weapon, and it's something they're trying to get better at.
Jalen Hurts' best pass of the day was dropped by A.J. Brown, who got a step on Darius Slay, who honestly had pretty tight coverage. I thought he had a chance to hit the ball, but he didn't. Hit A.J. Brown in the hands. He dropped it in the end zone. It's a shame because it would have been a beautiful play, and it is something to watch with Brown a little bit. He had 8 drops last year. I wouldn't
7.
say. Was it? It was 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
7%.
7%. Yeah, 7.6%. And drops are a little, they're not an official stat, so some people have more or less.
I feel like he's caught the ball pretty well.
He has. But it is something to keep in the back of your mind that on occasion, and good receivers drop passes. It's, T.O. dropped quite a few balls.
He did.
Of
course, you're also getting targeted 12 times a game, so you have more chances.
Yeah, and I mean, the amount of times Brown has been targeted this camp, it's excessive. I mean, Jalen Hurts is throwing him the ball a lot. Yeah. It's been a lot of A.J. Brown, a lot of Dallas Goedert.
Yep.
And even before Devontae got hurt, he wasn't seeing the ball as much as those two.
That's true.
Yeah.
And part of that might be that they just feel like they need to work with A.J. more, but you'd like to see Devontae.
I think honestly, I think a big part of it is James Bradbury has kind of locked down Devontae Smith during camp.
Yeah. Bradbury's so good.
That's a tough matchup for Devontae. And we saw it when they played the Giants, but we're seeing it in camp now too.
He's been something, and we saw him a couple times a year. He was only with the Giants, 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't see him early in his career all that much, but I've been really impressed with him.
Me too. He's just been steady.
Yeah.
And honestly, Slay has been given all he can handle with A.J. Brown. They've battled back and forth, but I mean, Brown has been. I think that'll be really good for Slay. He talked about that when they got A.J. Brown, when they traded for him. He's like, I haven't had a big-bodied receiver to go up against every day since Megatron.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, Kaiser White, who we've talked about a little bit, but really T.J. Edwards has kind of been the star at that position in camp, and Davion Taylor's made a lot of plays. I thought Kaiser White had his best day today.
Yeah, and I mean, who would have thought we'd be sitting here talking about linebackers? Yeah. You kind of wrote it. It's so weird that they have linebackers. It really is.
Yeah.
And they kind of almost take turn. I mean, TJ's been really, really good, but you kind of forget about Kaiser. It's easy to forget about him.
Yeah, they really rotated today at that position. They had Nakobe Dean out there. Sean Bradley got some reps. Davion was out there. TJ, Kaiser. They're really, and this is kind of what they did last year in camp. Just Gannon was really mixing and matching these linebacker groups, figuring out how they play together and in different areas. I saw Nakobe at the Mike and Will on like back-to-back snaps today, so it was like one play with Kaiser, one play with TJ. So they're playing with some things, and that's good. I mean, that's what you use this time for.
I thought you meant he was in the mix zone. You saw him at the mic.
No. The one play from Kaiseri blew up a screen of Miles Sanders. Good anticipation, good quickness to get there. And then there was a play to Dallas Goedert in the middle of the field. He showed some skills getting his hand in front of the ball and batting it down.
Yeah, he was active.
Mm-hmm. Jalen Reagor almost had he might have had an incredible catch. Were you on that sideline?
No, I didn't see that rep, and I was reading your blurb about it. I was on the other side.
It was so basically he goes up for a ball. It was in the flat. It wasn't like a long pass, but he goes up for the ball. He gets hit in the air. His helmet pops off, and it looked like he might have caught it. The referee quickly ruled incomplete. I was talking to some people who were on the sideline. They said he thought he caught it. It was close. It was still it was impressive.
Nick didn't challenge it.
Nick did not challenge it. No.
Yeah. Well, Jalen's been okay.
Making some plays. He made some plays last year too, though.
Yes,
so it's and I've had people say, "Well, it doesn't mean anything." Yeah, you're right. It might not mean anything, but that's what we're watching.
Yeah,
so.
We're not saying it means anything. We're just saying it happened, and he has caught the ball well.
Deion Kane came back to practice. He left early on Thursday.
I like Deion Kane.
He is quietly having a very nice summer. I don't think there's a spot for him, but Nick Sirianni knows him. They like him. He could be a practice squad guy who might end up playing this year.
Yeah, I think they really would like to keep him around.
So the play he made, Bradbury, it was twos versus the first team defense. Bradbury got his left hand in there, popped the ball up, and it just floated in the air. And Kane was on his back and caught the ball. So really unlucky for Bradbury, but nice concentration from the receiver.
Yeah, and Deion Kane's made some plays. I mean, he's a guy who played a lot in Indy. He started some games, and he just didn't have any production.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's got good size. He seems like he runs well. I haven't seen him drop any. So interesting guy. No spot for him, but yeah, I think from what I've seen, they would love to keep him around.
O-line, D-line today. I watched that instead of 7-on-7, so I missed some action over there on the other side of the field.
Yeah, it's hard not to watch one-on-ones.
It's so good, but I will, I'll bounce back and forth a little bit. Today they were on the same field, separated by a wall of players, so it wasn't a day where I could kind of sneak glances at both. So I picked O-line, D-line. I heard in 7-on-7s, Darius Slay had a big interception. Didn't see it, so unfortunately, not a part of my observations today. But the O-line, D-line drills, Cam Jurgens has been very impressive all camp. He has, we've talked about it, his understanding of leverage and anchoring. He's been very good. Today, Jordan Davis just steamrolled him.
Yeah, and Jordan Davis does that every day.
Not the Cam Jurgens, though.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
It's been good work between the two of them. But yeah, that rep you were talking about, he just overpowers people.
Yeah, it was almost like a stab at first, and then it was like a stab into a bull rush, but it was just powerful. And he put Jurgens on skates, which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah. I'm just getting really intrigued by him.
Mm-hmm.
The power is just off the charts. Yeah. But also it's more than that. I mean, he's refining his game. You can see it every day. And you have a funny observation here, and I felt the same way. They were lined up to go again, and then the whistle blows. And
I almost started screaming. I was like, let him go, because they were lined up, and then the whistle blew. Normally they'll let them get that rep in.
If they've started it, to let them finish it. Yeah.
Oh well,
we'll never know.
Yeah. I mean, and if you're Cam Jurgens, you want that rep. You want to redeem yourself a little bit.
No question about it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Jordan wanted the rep because he probably wants every rep.
Yeah. Brandon Graham versus Jack Driscoll it's a daily crime. It is that bull rush from Brandon Graham. I mean, Jack Driscoll's got to be seeing that in his nightmares.
Yeah, I was watching that drill with Clay Harbor, who's Brandon Graham's former teammate, and he's been retired for like 10 years. But he was just marveling about Graham's, not just his fitness, but his effort at 34 and in his, they were drafted the same year, and he a guy coming off that a serious injury, and he just couldn't believe the effort and the want to that BG was showing in a one-on-one drill a week into training camp.
It's amazing. A lot of guys that age, with that much experience aren't even doing those drills.
And if they are, they're pacing themselves. They maybe aren't giving everything they have. BG, he can't play that way.
Jack Driscoll's like, I'd wish this guy would pace himself a little bit.
Yeah. And I like Jack, but yeah, he's...
Yeah, and look, Driscoll had a nice rep. I think Driscoll's a better tackle than a guard. I think he seems smoother out there. And they've given him mostly tackle reps in these one-on-ones. And a big reason for that might be Sua Opeta, who had 2 really impressive reps against Javon Hargrave, stood him up twice. Now, Javon he gives people trouble in those drills, and Sua on back-to-back reps shut him down.
They like Sua, and there's a lot to like about him. I think one of the reasons they really had no trouble granting Nate Herbig's wish and releasing him was Sua. They just really think highly of him.
Yeah. He's very athletic. He's stronger than he was at one point, too.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough for that. There's some more in there if you guys want to read them. I'm not going to get to all the O-line, D-line stuff, but one of the Jalen Hurts throws that I really liked today was one that landed well out of bounds. It was an interesting play where he rolled to his left. There was some pressure, flushed out of the pocket, rolls to his left. And it gave me a flashback to earlier in camp where he threw across his body in the traffic and it got picked off by Andre Sacheret. And it was a play that Nick hated. I mean, Nick Sirianni was upset about that play, even mentioned it to us, like that decision is not a good one. And we all understand they're working on stuff and there's certain, you want to try some throws in practice, but you could tell Nick didn't like that one. So Jalen starts rolling left today and I'm thinking, uh-oh.
Here we go again.
Yeah. But this time he delivered it out of bounds, lived to see another day. I thought it was a wise decision.
Yeah. And, I think when you have Jalen Hurts mentality, sometimes it's hard to just throw it away. I mean, he just wants to make a play on every snap. So certainly good to see him doing that. It's something he's got to do.
Yeah. Josh Jobe.
Yeah. That was the play of the day.
From Alabama. Yeah, it was a great play. And they've been rotating at that second team defense. Zach McPherson's pretty solidified as one of the corners on the second team defense. That other spot on the outside, they've been rotating quite a bit. It started off in camp as Mac McCain, then Kerry Vincent got a few days. Josh Jobe actually was out there to start practice today, even before some injuries. But he made the most of it. He had a diving pass breakup in the end zone on a Gardner Minshew pass. And then very
to Deion Kane.
To Deion Kane.
I thought it was a touchdown.
It looked like a touchdown.
He made up a lot of ground. It was a great play.
He cut off the angle on that pass. It was great. Then the very next play, he got another pass breakup.
How tall is he?
Jobe?
Yeah.
He's probably pushing 6. He's probably under 6.
They list him at 5'11".
Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly the kind of play that's going to get coaches to notice. It was impressive.
Yeah, and he's in a mix. There are 3 undrafted corners as a part of that group of a bunch of them. Mario Goodrich and Josh Blackwell from Clemson and Duke, respectively, are the other 2. But, yeah, I mean, a few plays can kind of put you higher on the pecking order.
Oh, no doubt about it. And then that next play, I thought it was okay. You thought it was a penalty. A.J. Brown threw his towel.
Yeah, A.J. Brown agreed with me. I thought he got there like a millisecond early. But sometimes those bang plays, you'll get the call.
There were refs today, and they didn't call it.
Yeah. Sometimes these refs at these practices, though,
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, make a call one way or the other. Like, the ball will be like it's either a drop or a touchdown. And they don't signal either way. Give me something.
That's training camp for them, too.
Yeah, I guess so. Look at me just ragging on the referees.
In August.
What else? Oh, Zach Pascal got team reps for the first time this summer. He was they started off and they rotated some of the receivers with the first team on Saturday, but they came out with A.J. Brown outside, Quez Watkins outside, Zach Pascal in the slot. Remember, Devontae Smith not practicing. But that kind of tells you he was ahead of Rager, at least in the beginning of practice. And we were questioning that.
Yeah. Yeah, not surprising. I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't exactly sure where they were on that.
To me, it came down to, like, physically, where was he after a terrible ordeal? What did he lose? 15 pounds?
16 pounds.
16 pounds.
Shout out to Ed Kratz.
Is he?
Yeah, I always tell him afterwards. Ed Kratz works for SI, I think now. Former wrestling guy.
My former colleague at Calkins. Our former colleague.
Yeah. Big wrestler guy, and those wrestling guys never lose the wrestling guy thing. So he's always asking questions about weight and weight loss and weight gain. So I can always count on him for that. And he got that out of Zach Pascal today, which was good.
Yeah. Threw up 50 times.
Yeah.
But I mean, they didn't bring Zach Pascal in and sign him to be behind Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, you're probably right. So. Yeah, but Reagor had a decent couple days with the first team, so I thought maybe, and they did rotate. He got some first team reps. John Hightower got some first team reps. Britton Covey.
John Hightower had a bad drop.
In 11s?
Yes.
Where?
His hands.
No, what part of the field? I don't remember.
Right flat. I think.
Okay, I don't remember it. Whatever. Britton Covey got some first team reps too. He's looked solid. Jason Huntley, my last observation.
Yeah.
I can't say what I told you earlier, but he had a little mean streak to him on Saturday.
Yeah, it was interesting. Here's my theory. He wasn't getting many reps. Boston Scott gets hurt. They don't have any other running backs. And that was him saying, somebody's got to get hurt for me to get reps.
Maybe.
That's my theory. That's my working theory.
I mean, we think of him as this like super fast, just the home run threat. And we haven't really seen those plays this training camp like we did last summer.
Right.
But man, he lowered his Andre Sachray was like, what the heck was that? A truck just hit me. And then a little bit later, he broke off a big run and finished it with a stiff arm.
Yeah, he wanted to get into a fight today, I felt like.
I don't know. I like that edge from him because like sometimes those speedy guys don't want to be known as just a speedy guy.
Yeah. Well, he's built, he's kind of solid.
Is he?
Yeah. I mean, he's not wiry, a wiry, speedy guy, but he's pretty solid. But I mean, it's got to be tough. Look, what's he in his third year here now?
Yeah. And he was a draft pick at one point with Detroit.
Not here. Yeah. In Detroit.
Well, 5th round pick, right?
Yeah. I think the same year as Fulgham. I think Detroit drafted both those guys. Remember him? Man, what happened to him? He's in Denver now with Singleton. Yeah. They'll be good.
Well, Tim Patrick just got hurt, so maybe there's some.
Oh, really?
Some reps for Fulgham.
Yeah, but Huntley. I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be tough to get the coach's attention. You're not getting many reps. You're in your third year here. What do I have to do? And to me, it just looked like a guy who's frustrated. He's like, look, I can still play. Mm-hmm. Notice me.
Yeah.
Like the little. What is the Dr. Seuss thing? The little tiny Who's in Whoville. Yeah. Notice me. Here we are.
You just called him a who?
I think I did.
All right. I had a good stupid observation of the day.
You always do.
Thank you. Interesting. It's not even that stupid. It's a good drill, punt return drill. So they did it for a while. You have one football in your hand and you have to catch a football while you're holding a football. Right. And then they upped it a little bit where you had a football on your hand, you wait for the punted ball to drop, and as it's dropping, you throw your football in the air, catch the punted ball, and then catch the ball you threw up to yourself. So it's like I said, it looks like the beginning of a juggling act, when like people are throwing balls into someone and they keep juggling them. Only one guy pulled it off.
Not surprisingly.
Britton Covey.
What do you think of him?
Smooth.
I think he's going to make the team.
He might.
I think he's going to make the team.
I mean, it's a little bit of a luxury to keep him.
Yeah.
He's probably the 6th receiver.
Yeah.
Unless they don't keep Reagor and they trade him somehow.
Yeah.
Fascinating, though.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see him in games.
Yeah. I mean,
see him actually like live punt returns, live kick returns.
Yeah. And, we know he can catch the ball. We know he's good with the ball in his hands, but he plays receiver with some confidence and a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not just a returner. Like he's making some plays as a receiver too.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
Yeah, anything else I missed from today's practice that struck you?
No, I think we covered it all. One-on-ones. Sills had a rough day. Man, I felt bad for that kid.
Yeah. But he did get he was the second team left tackle today.
Yeah.
They gave him that over Coyote, which is interesting. Raven Clark's still the first team left tackle without Dillard and Mailata. I thought he was a little better today.
Coyote had a tough day in one-on-ones too. I thought he struggled a little bit. But yeah, it's the best work there is. It's the most fun thing there is to watch. And I just wish fans could see those drills.
Yeah, they're fun. Hopefully they do some at the open practice.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. All right. How about after practice? We talked to a few players and coaches. We talked to Michael Clay before practice.
Right. Isaac Seumalo spoke for the first time since OTAs. Really interesting. He talked about his approach to the O-line. He said, he said something he and Lane came up with was like the players that always have all the swagger are like wide receivers and cornerbacks that have big personalities and swagger and, just really confident. He said, why can't offensive linemen be that? And he said they've tried to adapt that to their game, adopt that and adapt that to their game.
Either or work there.
Yeah. And play like that, play with that kind of swagger that you usually see, usually reserved.
Is that Lane's little like the roll in the first down thing?
Probably. Yeah. All that kind of stuff.
I don't think Isaac really has that in him.
It's interesting. He says he wants to. He says, I want to be that guy that, it's not about, I got to go through the tape, but it was really interesting. It's not how I envisioned Isaac. Isaac's generally so quiet, but he was really interesting today talking about how, he talked a lot about the injuries and just how hard it was, his recovery was this time, and how much he appreciates the game now because he's missed so much time the last couple of years. And, I asked him about, we would see him on that rollator thing every day. We were doing interviews and he would go to the car and just felt so bad. Is this guy ever going to play again?
Yeah.
And he said he wants to be better than he's ever been. And he said he's really taken a right guard. He thinks he's playing really well. I think he is. I think he's had a good camp for a guy coming off an injury.
You talk about those one-on-ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He
gives Fletcher all he can handle.
Yeah. And he talked about how much Fletcher's helped him, just being able to go up against him all the time. And he said how much it means to him when Fletcher tells him, look, you come so far.
Yeah.
He talked about how when he and Big V came in, how lost they were and just how far they've both gone. Big V, I guess, still with the Lions. I think Seumalo was the only guy left from that 2016 draft.
Yeah, they drafted someone that year who is back in the division. Who is that?
I'd have to look that up. Okay. I think he's a quarterback.
All right, interesting.
But as far as the other picks, that was Blake Countess. Jalen Mills, is he still in New England?
I believe so.
Wendell Smallwood. Coach. Alex McAllister. So it wasn't an ideal draft. But some of those
didn't have a second round pick that year.
Yeah, didn't have a two. But Jalen helped him win a Super Bowl. Big V helped him win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, it was a different Isaac. He was really effusive, and I really enjoyed talking to him. He's coming back from an injury and playing a new position, and that's a lot. And he's been really solid. He hasn't missed any time. He said he feels great physically and mentally. He's in a great place. So I'll write a little story about him, and you can read all the comments. But I thought it was fun talking to him.
That's good. Talk to the punter today.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Interesting. We got really in depth about punting and specifically about his drops. So like dropping the football to your leg. He said that's where he thinks the issue was last year. And he's really worked on that. He said it kind of popped up later in the season when conditions weren't ideal. So he's really worked this offseason to put himself in some windy conditions and make sure his drops are on point. Interesting. They clearly have some confidence in him. He's the only punter here. And Michael Clay brought up the confidence thing on his own. Like, we need this guy to be confident. So I wonder if that plays a role in it. And Siposs also said he had a kid during the year last year, so he might have been a little sleep deprived at times.
I guess. Jake Elliott talked about how difficult it is. I think one of the things that's really cool about Jake Elliott, he's one of the most accurate kickers in history that's played in an outdoor Northeast U.S. stadium. It's just you're going to get bad conditions like the last 12 weeks of the season. You get cold, wind, whatever, rain. If you kick in a dome, you're going to make 90%. You better make 90% of your kicks. Kicking in these conditions, it's harder. And he said that's something that, and this goes back to the wind and the drops that you mentioned, something I think Sipos has had to get used to. I guess he was driving all over Australia on a calm day trying to find some wind.
Well, he apparently was in Melbourne, and I don't know much of the weather in Australia, but he said there are often windy conditions in Melbourne. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Is that the things people know?
Yeah, about? Because so you got New Zealand here, and then you go Australia, and you got the Straits of Bothnia in between, and the wind just gusts.
Is that right?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think no.
That sounded right.
I think the Straits of Bothnia is in Norway.
Oh, okay. But I would have believed you. I would have gone, all right. Yeah.
I know.
Sounds right.
Imagine what it looks like being a punter, and you're in an otherwise empty field in Australia, taking a football and dropping it to your foot.
People probably think you're playing rugby.
Yeah, maybe.
Or Australian rules.
Yeah, by yourself out in the field. Anybody want to go practice drops with me?
Yeah. It's got to be frustrating.
Maybe Savroka is that down there. He can help out.
Maybe. They have a pipeline, man.
They do.
That one like school, they churn them out. Man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. Cam Johnston.
Yeah.
Aussie punter.
Yeah. Tommy Hutton.
Hmm? Oh, there's a lot.
No, he was from here.
Yeah.
He was from Michigan. Something. Anyway, but it is pretty cool. I wonder why those guys all have such strong legs. Some trend story.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're behind on that trend story. It's been going on for 20 years.
Good to see Bill Berge today. He was there for a little bit. All-time great Eagle, 77 years old. Looked good. He was rushing home to see Vermeil's speech.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, congrats to Dick Vermeil. We saw him out of practice last week.
Yeah.
It's cool. That's something you've talked about it before. It's really cool to see how much the Eagles as a franchise, and you've talked about how it was before Jeff Lurie, but just how welcoming they are of former players. Like Dick Vermeil is an all-time great in this city, and it's based on what you've told me about the former ownership. Like he wouldn't have been out of the practice.
He wouldn't have wanted to, and he wouldn't have been welcome. Yeah, there was no connection with the past. Even the stuff in the link, like when you come in, that the Head House Plaza or the Pepsi Plaza, whatever they call it now, all those historical, photos and bios, and just it's great stuff. And how many franchises have been in the same city with the same name for 90 years? There's not many in any sport. I mean, a couple of sports didn't exist 90 years ago. So, I mean, the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Cubs and the New York Yankees, there's not a lot of them. And the Eagles have so much history. And Jeff Lurie was one of his big things when he bought the team. I remember him saying, I want to reconnect with our past. There's a lot of it. And it's great. It's so important with a franchise like this.
Yeah, I think, and it is cool too to see the younger players buy into it. Like there'll be moments where, like, Dick Vermeil's there, and you see some of the players will talk to him after practice. Like I like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, AJ Brown that one day was asking where Harold Carmichael was. When Vermeil was there. It's cool that he knows who he is.
Exactly. Yeah. You got anything else?
No.
All right. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye Podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. One more reminder: Sunday, 5:30, we'll be at the Pepsi Plaza. Reuben, myself, and Barrett Brooks hanging out before the public practice.
It's right by the store, right? By the.
I think so.
I think by the pro shop.
Yeah. All right. That's all we've got. For Rube, I'm Dave. We'll talk to you next time.